Hi, today I'd like to talk about Anna Karenina Part 4. If you missed Part 1 to 3, the links will be in the description. So how is Levin introduced in this part? Oblonsky wants to invite him to his dinner, and he sees a bearskin in Levin's room. As we know, when we see a bear in the text, then Levin will see Kitty. He's happier than he was in the last chapter of Part 3, but he understands that everything he does is a distraction from thinking about death, about the fact that everything is meaningless. When he organizes the party, Oblonsky thinks about his guests as one would think about food. Koznishev, Levin's half-brother, and Karenin will be the pièce de résistance, while Pistov, the 50-year-old boy, will be the gravy or garnish. Apparently, this approach works for him, since Oblonsky is like alcohol for social gatherings. So what do the guests discuss? Well, without Stiva, they were lost, but after he worked his magic, they started talking about politics and women's education, among other things. Koznishev doesn't understand why would women want new responsibilities, the same ones men complain about. Stiva is for female emancipation, probably because of his new mistress, and Dolly is against it, probably for the same reason. Karenin is against it, Dolly's father is against it. Anyway, there's a whole debate, and it's so funny that while this is going on, Kitty is telling Levin about how a man could play the nanny for Dolly's children. So, a man can have feminine roles, and a woman can't have masculine ones. Great point, Tolstoy. But then again, Pistov makes some relevant points, relevant to the novel, I mean, like the double standards when it comes to infidelity, for instance. The bear hunting is over when Levin finally asks Kitty to marry him, and she says yes. So the hunt turned into a game. This is exactly how Tolstoy proposed to his wife, though it seems that she needed more help to decipher his message, and his message was more complex than Levin's. Kitty and Levin understand each other on another level, despite their age gap and the fact that they haven't talked in a while. Levin is ecstatic, everything is more beautiful, he loves everybody. The world changes when you're actually happy. You don't have this desire to criticize anyone or anything. Tolstoy even gives us a funny scene where Levin bites more than he can chew, literally. Or maybe this is a hint that he doesn't know anything about marriage, maybe he's not ready for it, that he doesn't know Kitty as well as he thinks he does, that this first period of their relationship will end sooner or later, and then what? What is he going to do with her? And I can assure you that marriage won't solve all his problems. Or maybe he just doesn't know what to do with that role and that's it. I don't know. When he goes to see Kitty and her parents, Tolstoy reinforces this idea that the prince and the princess are still in love. So Kitty definitely had this example of a happy family. And how sweet they are, how welcoming. Either that, or they're just very glad to get rid of their daughter. Levin is told that they will need sweets for the wedding, and he goes to buy sweets. And he's told that they will need flowers for the wedding, and he goes to buy flowers. Same with gifts. He's a very good groom. Later, he gives his fiancée his diaries, again mirroring Tolstoy's actions before his wedding, and obviously Kitty is shocked to see her future husband in such a different light. I get why he did it, but at the same time, I can't imagine what Kitty went through. After all, she wasn't ready to read that. She's more upset to find out about his past than she is when she finds out that he doesn't believe in God. I guess it's better to know about these things sooner rather than later. But then, how dare he be so mad at her for choosing Vronsky when he himself spent most of his life just sleeping around? Now that Levin reached his goal with Kitty, what are they going to do? I mean, up until now, her only purpose in the text was to correct her mistake and choose the right guy. Yes, there was a tangent about her wanting to be truthful, but that wasn't for long. The first time I read Anna Karenina, I wasn't as frustrated with Levin and Kitty's storyline as I am now. But this is caused by the fact that I read more from him and I noticed a certain pattern. The prose is beautiful, most observations are on point, everything about friendship and the futility of most arguments. But this pattern, it can be frustrating for modern day readers. I hope that you can still enjoy it even if you know where this is going, because their story is not just about romance. For Tolstoy, marriage is not a happy ending, but rather a beginning. Now let's move on to Anna's chapters or Karenin's chapters. At the beginning of this part, the love triangle Anna, Karenina, Vronsky don't try to do anything about their problem. They're all suffering, but they can't find a good solution, so they're all waiting for something. Karenin and Vronsky meeting in the doorway was the final straw. We can see that Anna and Vronsky don't respect him because he didn't confront his wife's lover. They wanted a reaction from him, and he just refused to play their game. They kind of want to be punished for their crime, and Karenin's reaction is worse than a duel or a divorce. For the past week, Vronsky had to show a foreign prince the sights of the city to entertain him. The prince Tolstoy may be referring to was most likely Queen Victoria's son, Alfred. He came to St. Petersburg in 1874 and married the daughter of Alexander II. The experience was so unpleasant for Vronsky because he could not help seeing himself in him, and what he saw in that mirror was not flattering to his vanity. So he is guilty of the same hypocrisy Anna hates so much in her husband. So she's exchanging one trap for another. Vronsky has the peasant dream when he becomes aware of his own flaws reflected in the prince. Just like Levin, he returns from a bear hunt. In the dream, he sees a Russian peasant speaking French, which is not something that he would see every day, and he wakes up trembling. Anna is pregnant and jealous, and Vronsky doesn't find her as attractive anymore. He thinks that all their happiness is behind them in the past, but at the same time he blames himself for this. She tells him about a dream involving a peasant speaking French. We know that both Karenin and Vronsky used French with Anna, at least sometimes, and in part 2 we discovered that Vronsky used French to avoid the Russian pronoun you, which could be too cold or too dangerous. Since in her dream she is looking for something in her bedroom, we can assume that it's something related to her relationship with Vronsky. Unlike him though, she understands what the peasant is saying in French. The valet tells her that it means that she will die in childbirth, and this explanation takes place within the dream, and then she wakes up. When Anna and Vronsky see each other for the first time, a man was run over by a train on a railway, obviously. The literal translation of the word railway in Russian would be iron road. So a watchman died on the iron road, and in the dream, the peasant says, "You must beat the iron." Right before Vronsky's confession at a train station between Moscow and Petersburg, the handled shadow of a man slipped under her feet, and there was the noise of a hammer striking iron. So in the text, the dream is the third time iron is related to Anna and Vronsky, just like the bear is related to Kitty and Levin. Karenin's so-called indifference is killing Anna because she actually feels guilty. She says that she wants to die to end all this. Dying would make her a tragic heroine, right? But no, she has to live with her guilt. In a play called A Living Corpse, where there's also a character named Karenin, there's this amazing line: "You will kill yourself with a revolver and then with generosity." This is exactly what Karenin does, well, except the revolver part. This is his way of punishing Anna. Well, now that she disregarded his one request, she gets a reaction from him. It's funny that now she can put herself in his shoes when he is angry with her, when he mispronounces a word in the funniest way imaginable. You are indifferent to the destruction of his whole life, to the suffering he has experienced. Suffered through would be a more exact translation of the word he mispronounced. He did it in the most childlike manner. You can't be mad at him. You certainly can't see him as a puppet anymore. For the first time, Anna sees her husband in a different light. She sees him as a human being, whereas before he was only a caricature. Maybe this is because she is mad at herself. Karenin doesn't lack feelings. He just can't understand them or can't allow himself to understand them. He sees them as a weakness. He sees a lawyer and we find out about the options someone has if they want a divorce. Here are the possible grounds for it. Physical defects in the spouses, or a 5-year absence without communication, or adultery. To prove that Anna is guilty, the love letters aren't enough. He would need eyewitnesses, and the whole procedure would be humiliating for everyone. The best option would be adultery by mutual consent. So he would have to pretend that he had an affair. Coincidentally or not, Karenin has problems at work as well. His political enemy, the one who was so nice to Anna in part 3, he carries all his ideas to the extreme, and Karenin is the scapegoat. To solve the problem, he leaves St. Petersburg and covers all the expenses. Unfortunately, he bumps into Steve Oblonsky and he has to go to the dinner party, the same that Levin went to. And now we have to talk about his conversation with Dolly. Have you noticed that Alexei and Daria share the same patronymic, Alexandrovich and Alexandrovna? So Karenin's name means protector, and ironically, he couldn't protect. So Dolly wants to return the favor to save Anna's marriage. But she isn't Anna, and Karenin isn't Dolly. Anna knew how to manipulate her, how to say the right thing in the right way, and Dolly can do the same thing with Anna's husband. At least he's more honest with her than he is with other people. He doesn't hide his suffering. He can't save Anna because Anna thinks that death is her only salvation. Then Karenin receives 2 telegrams. The first one informs him that his political enemy received a post he wanted, and in the second one, his wife asks him to come as soon as possible because she is dying. One detail that surprised me was the fact that Karenin saw Anna's signature on the telegram. How could you sign a telegram? Did the telegram wires transmit some sort of copy of the message like a fax or something? I'm not sure about this, please correct me if I'm wrong. As I mentioned in the previous video, Karenin and Vronsky have the same name for a reason. What does it mean? As I said, it means protector, and Anna's name means grace. So they both wanted to protect this grace, and now they meet on what seems to be her deathbed. Vronsky and Karenin exchange places. No, Karenin is the noble one, and Anna loves him because Serozha has his eyes, and he will forgive her and them. Here's what Dostoevsky wrote about this scene. These petty, insignificant, and deceitful beings suddenly become genuine and truthful people worthy of being called men, solely because of a natural law, the law of human death. Their shell vanished and truth alone appeared. Hatred and deceit began to speak in terms of forgiveness and love. For me, this scene was so much better when I read it for the first time. There's definitely something Dostoevskian about it, and this is a compliment. The intimacy went from 0 to 100, and this is another compliment. Now I'm more frustrated with Anna. In fact, I'm more frustrated with how this part ended to appreciate the scene as much as I used to. What do you think? Was it artificial and melodramatic or not? Now she sees Karenin. Now she's the real Anna, not the one who cheated on him with Vronsky, not the one who was bad. Who's the real Anna, though? I hope that we'll find the answer when we reach part 8. Karenin finds happiness in forgiveness. He doesn't just forgive Anna and Vronsky, but actually loves their newborn. At least in these chapters, he is more affectionate towards her than her biological parents. When Anna recovers from her illness, she is even more confused than before. She's uncomfortable around her husband. She gets a second chance. She has short hair now. The past doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what she does with this second chance. She doesn't want to accept his sacrifice. Instead, she prefers to sacrifice herself. She really wants to be a tragic heroine, doesn't she? So, she takes away Karenin's joy of forgiveness. And he begged God to let him have it. Vronsky tries to kill himself. And this serves as a sort of replacement for the duel he didn't get to have with Karenin. Even Tolstoy himself said that he was surprised by his action. Just as one Varenka helped Kitty recover from her heartbreak when she was abroad, so the second Varenka helps Vronsky after his suicide attempt. Anna tells her brother that she feels like a tightened string that's about to snap. And this is the same way she felt on her way to St. Petersburg after Vronsky's confession. When Stiva goes to see Karenin, he becomes suddenly aware of a sense of embarrassment unusual in him. Why is he embarrassed? Because what he's about to do is wrong, and he knows it. He thinks that all his sister needs is a divorce. Apparently he's wrong. It's ironic because in their first dialogue with Karenin, he was trying to prevent him from doing it. Just like Betsy Truskaya, Stiva is part of this brutal force that wouldn't leave Karenin alone. Do you get it? Karenin, who cares so much about public opinion, is ready to lie, is ready to pretend to be guilty. He can never remarry if he pleads guilty. He's ready to give Anna custody of his children, because both Serozha and Annie are legally his. Remember the epigraph to the novel? Vengeance is mine, I will repay. Well, Karenin doesn't want vengeance anymore. He just wants Anna to be happy. This is the best solution for everyone. Both Alexeys want it. But no, she feels burdened by his generosity. And what does she do? She leaves. And leaves her son behind as well. The son she claims to love so much. In part 3, she thinks if Vronsky told her, "Throw up everything and come with me," then she would give up her son and go away with him. And now, in part 4, he comes and his feeling communicates itself to her. And they leave together. Well, that's it for today. Don't forget to tell me what you thought about this part. Thanks for watching. Bye!